And we are back. Welcome back to the Players You Need series. And after a few game weeks where we've either had games not being played or double game weeks, and last week particularly where we've had both, it's nice to just have a normal game week with just the bog standard 10 games. And I've gone for a fairly interesting team today. There is a fair few of the what you'd expect players in there, but I've gone for some proper out there ones once again this week. So stick around till the end of the video to see who I've gone for. But as always, before we do that, we're going to round up how many points my best of team got last week and shout out any potential winners. So before we get into it, just a reminder to drop a like on the video if you are enjoying this series. Share it with a friend if you think the team is worth showing to other people. And subscribe if you're new around here. We're near enough posting daily at the moment, so we're getting videos out all the time. So make sure you are subscribed. Let's get straight into it. So my best of Game Week 25 team ended up getting 117 points, which I'm very happy with. 154,000 overall, one of my better game weeks. But we did it with 10 players because Mitrovic didn't play, which was a kind of expectation. That is why we put Iheanacho on the bench, and sadly he didn't do anything. But Emerson not playing for West Ham was the real killer because I actually predicted West Ham to get the clean sheet and Emerson didn't play despite playing in all of the previous three. So a little bit disappointed with that. If I'd have gone for Sofal or Johnson, obviously I would have got the points for him there. But 117 overall. Saka as the captain. If we'd have gone for Martinelli, it would have been much better. My only real other disappointment has come from Cody Gakpo. Only 4 points for him. I thought he would have done potentially a little bit better in those two games. But yeah, the double game weeks proving worked nicely with the defence getting 13 for Ramsdale and Trent. And like you can see, the attackers and the midfielders doing relatively well as well. So 117 points overall. You'd think that would be enough to say that there were no winners in this game week. However, we did have one. And Claire Mason managed to get 125. That should say week 25 winners, but whatever. It is week 25 winners. Week 26 is this week. But Claire Mason with 125. She also played her free hit, but obviously just picked better options than I did. So congratulations to her. And there were a fair few high scores in the league from people that didn't use free hits as well. So if you are one of those people, congratulations. And we'll now see what that has done to the league table because you'll see all of those high scores here. And here is said league table. So as you can see, a lot of the people at the top scoring in the 90s, and the majority of those, like I say, did not use their free hits. So fair play to them for getting such high scores with actually having players missing as well. And as you can see, James Morris once again extends his lead only slightly by another 5 points, but it means the lead now stands at 92 points, which could be potentially unassailable with so few game weeks left. My own team, as you can see, has moved up into 17th position now. I did use my free hit, sadly, so I would say I've probably lost ground in the long run this week because when everyone else is scoring 90s and I've free hitted to only get 100, I need to do a little bit better. But I'm not going to complain too much because I'm still on the board. But there is the league table. Congratulations to any of you that are in the top 20 at the moment. And as I said already, congratulations to any of you that are able to get in the 80s and the 90s even without using their free hit this week. Now let's get into my best of Game Week 26 team. And here it is. And we'll start with the goalkeepers. We've gone for a cheeky little Keylor Navas. If you know, you know. I think he's been playing really well for Nottingham Forest since he came in. I know they conceded 4 against West Ham last time out, but there wasn't really anything he could do about any of them. And Forest's home record, as we've spoken about enough times on this channel, is very good. And against an Everton side that seem to have lost their way now since Sean Dyche has come in. They had those first 2 games at home where they were really good and really solid, but old habits have crept in already. Pretty much embarrassed by Arsenal last night, and you'd expect Forest to keep the clean sheet at home to them, so Navas is in goal. And the other one we have gone for is Robert Sanchez of Brighton, someone that I think a few of you do have already. I think West Ham would have to play a lot better than they did last night to get anything off of Brighton, so Sanchez we have gone for as the backup goalkeeper. I've really struggled to find clean sheets this week, but one of them that I think is pretty good for a clean sheet is Man City against Newcastle. Newcastle haven't looked too threatening on offence in the last few games. They've looked dangerous without really producing anything of note. So against Manchester City, I'm actually backing City to get the clean sheet. It's just a case of who actually plays. Guardiola mixes up his defence so much. So as you can see, I've gone for Kyle Walker and Rico Lewis because one of them will play. It's not is it Rico Lewis? I can't remember. It's something Lewis. But I've gone for Walker, I've gone for Lewis because one of them will play, and I think whichever one does play will get the clean sheet. Next to him, we have gone for Alexander Zinchenko, who has started contributing at the other end in the last couple of games as well. And at home to Bournemouth, I mean, surely Arsenal do some severe damage to Bournemouth in this one. And finally, in the defence, I've doubled down on Chelsea by going for Reece James and Ben Chilwell. Both players fit again. And they said on commentary the other day that they've only played something like 21 games out of a possible 100 together since they've both since Chilwell signed, which is staggering considering how good they are when they do play together. So I've gone for both of them as potential options this week, especially with Thiago Silva being out injured. I think there's more chance that you'll see potentially a 3-back with Cucurella at centre-back, meaning Chilwell gets further forward, but we shall see. Into the midfield, and this is where I've sort of just gone for the, the standard, these are the players in form, pick these players if you haven't already got them kind of thing. Saka as captain against Bournemouth, don't really think I need to say much about that. Martinelli we're going for once again because he's just got 26 points in one game week, even though it was a double game week, but against Bournemouth, again, don't really think I need to say too much about that. I've gone for De Bruyne against Newcastle. Now, I know Foden has been the talk of the town in the last couple of games for Manchester City, and obviously Mahrez and Grealish have also been playing very well. But De Bruyne has a fantastic record against Newcastle, so that is why I'm going for him this week. And to be honest, he's my only really expensive pick that I've gone for this week. So I'm going for Kevin De Bruyne against Newcastle. And no surprises, I've gone for Marcus Rashford as a Manchester United fan. Coming into the game against Liverpool, you got to fancy him against Trent. I know Liverpool have played a little better in the last 2 Premier League games, certainly defensively, back-to-back clean sheets for them. But the form Manchester United are in right now, and certainly the form Rashford's in right now, if he is going to be playing on the left-hand side up against Trent, you've really got to fancy his chances against him. And even if he's playing down the middle, maybe if he can get isolated against Van Dijk, I can see him getting through Van Dijk pretty easily, and it doesn't matter who the other centre-back is. It just comes down to how many chances we can create for him. So Rashford we have gone for once again. And my final midfielder, I've gone for James Maddison. It all depends on whether or not he has recovered from his illness. I think he'll play, and against Southampton, who just looks so out of sorts right now, losing at home to Grimsby in the FA Cup last night with pretty much their full first team. Really worrying signs for them. So if Maddison is fit, I see him doing serious damage to Southampton, which is why I've gone for him as well. And then the 3 strikers are a little bit more out there. Firstly, Ollie Watkins, who isn't. He scored in his last 5, and now he's at home to Crystal Palace, so I would expect him to score once again, which would be a hell of an achievement for him, looking to close down Jamie Vardy's record, potentially, if he keeps up his current run of form. Next to him, I've gone for someone I've recommended a few times before, which is the youngster Ferguson from Brighton. He is playing some very good football again at the moment, scored in the FA Cup this midweek, and I expect him to start against West Ham. And like I say, if West Ham play the way they played last night, I would expect Brighton to potentially get a couple of goals, and Ferguson could end up being involved in those. And finally, someone that I've been looking to get in my fantasy football best of teams for a while, but finally get the opportunity to this week, and that is Brennan Johnson. I'm a huge fan of Brennan Johnson. I think he's a quality young player. I think he's Nottingham Forest's best player, despite all of the signings that they made this season. One of their current, or should I say, players they had before they got promoted, is their best player in my opinion. I've been really impressed with him, and against Everton I would expect him to do something, maybe create a goal or certainly get on the end of something. And yeah, I really like this guy. I think he has a good future in the Premier League, potentially away from Nottingham Forest, but I'm expecting him to do the damage this week. And that is going to be it for today's suggestions. So as always, if you think that your team has what it takes to beat my best of team for this week, why not join the SO99 League by either submitting the team that you use every single week or creating a new account and putting it in the league just to see if you can beat my best of team. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'll be back tomorrow morning for my Premier League predictions.